To this crime, something I completely dismissed. I didn't even write it down in my notes. Focus was more on Leslie, so anyone kind of on Adrian's side was not as heavily focused on, so there weren't a lot of flags going up at all.
Lauren felt just as I did that it was just Adrian's best friend and that it really didn't have any significance other than Adrian was trying to maybe get a message to Lily.
Maybe there are more answers at the house.
Lauren was clearly traumatized. You could see it.
Yeah, she didn't want to go to the house.
I quickly learned my limitations on what I could give and what I couldn't.
Even before the police officer and the psychics enter the house, Michael Parry claims to key into the crime.
I said, oh, there are blood splats that you found out on the porch. I said, that's his blood. And he said, yes, we believe so. I said, oh, the window opened up, and he climbed in through the windows, and you found blue fibers on the windowsill. Kirk said, yes.
Inside, no evidence of that horrific night remains. Michael Parry goes straight upstairs.
I knew immediately which room it had happened in.
Michael ran his hand along the banister, and it stopped and said that he believed the killer's blood had been located on the banister in these locations. And in fact, that is where it had been found.
So we stood in the room for a while, and of course there was nothing there. It had all been cleaned out. I remember saying to him, you found one girl here and you found the other girl here, didn't you? And he said, yes. Adrian was doing most of the communicating with me, and she told me that the other girl had been stabbed first, then attacked Adrian. She put up a big struggle.
Then, Michael Parry says what the police already suspect.
I strongly felt that it was someone they absolutely knew. There was no question about it in my mind that they knew this person.
He has one more message from Adrian.
She kept referencing a boyfriend.
Months after the stabbing deaths of two young roommates in Napa, a pair of psychics give police a name they claim comes from the dead women themselves. The name, Lily.
Adrian's best friend, Lily, who was engaged at the time to a gentleman by the name of Eric Koppel, had come over and done some work on the dryer at the residence. Eric Koppel's name had not surfaced. An interview actually had been done with Lily, his fiance, who was a co-worker of Adrian's.
The police have interviewed over 1,000 men, but not the 26-year-old land surveyor, Eric Koppel.
I added him to my checklist. He was the 11th item on the checklist to make contact with him, to do an interview and obtain a voluntary DNA sample. When I first saw the picture of Eric, the first thing that stood out was the sketch that Marti and Michael had provided and how accurate it was, looking almost identical to Eric. It also put pieces together, such as what Lily meant.
Before he can interview Lily's boyfriend, Eric Koppel, Detective Primo is taken off the case.
My rotation to rotate out of investigations was about to come up. I created this checklist to which I passed on to the incoming detective. The list was never followed up upon, and Eric was never contacted.
The investigation inched along for nearly a year. Leads dried up, and no more tips were coming in.
It was finally decided through the department that we would go ahead and reveal the brand of cigarette that had been collected and sampled DNA the night of the homicide. A rare brand, and one that had been introduced not long before the crime had occurred.
DNA on the cigarette butts matches the DNA of the blood found at the crime scene. Blood, the police believe, belongs to the murderer.
We didn't associate with any smokers. And then I stopped. I thought, you know, Lily smokes. And so does her boyfriend at the time. They smoked. So I gave them Eric Koppel's name.
September 22nd, 2005. The police released the distinctive brand of cigarettes to the media. Camel Turkish Gold. Eric Koppel's brand. 5 days later, accompanied by his now wife Lily, the quiet land surveyor turns himself in.
Was shocked at first, and then it kind of made sense. He didn't stick out, but he kind of just survived under large personality of Lily.
No one in the community, and especially people that knew him, thought that Eric was ever a suspect, let alone a killer.
Eric Matthew Koppel is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, lying in wait and using a knife.
He was fearful of losing Lily. He was fearful that Adrian was convincing Lily to leave him. And their wedding had been called off, and he blamed Adrian. Adrian and Lily had planned a trip to Australia together, and so he was just deathfully afraid of losing her. So his answer was, kill the problem.
On Halloween night 2004, Eric Koppel admits he drank heavily at a party, during which he quarreled with Lily. A few hours later, armed with a knife, he entered the house on Dorset Street through an unlocked window. He creeps upstairs, and at this point, the sequence of the attack is only known to Eric. But in the end, Adrian and Leslie lay dying in Adrian's room after being repeatedly stabbed. Adrian was the intended target. It seems Leslie Mazzara may have died trying to help her friend.
Still today, I can speculate on why he didn't touch me, or, you know, he avoided my room. I'm not sure. Always be a question, so.
January 2007. More than 2 years after the murders, the quiet land surveyor faces the court.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
His wife, Lily, who the Parrys had named as key to the case, was there at his sentencing.
Eric, there is nothing in this world that you could do to make me love you less.
I am a broken man. Oh, that sucks. A man splintered by penetrating awareness of my own potential for wickedness.
And it is ordered Eric Matthew Koppel is to serve a life sentence without possibility of parole.
Finally, some closure for the family and friends.
I was just so thankful that there had been a resolution to everything.
After having gone through this and having the experience of working with mediums, don't overlook. They may be a very good asset to your investigation, and at least they may be a small piece to that puzzle that you're missing.
I felt Adrian was a very strong personality, a very determined girl, and that she was determined to put this guy away or do something about it.
The first night when I was questioned, I asked, what do people in my situation generally do? And Kirk had said, people don't generally survive in this situation. They're usually killed too. The experience with the Parrys has given me a faith that after we pass, that we can still have a connection to the ones we've loved in this lifetime.